The 9-colored dragon soul crystal can enhance the soul level, but this is only one of its functions, not even the main function. The biggest function of the 9-colored dragon soul crystal is to refine the soul power, making the soul power extremely pure. At the same level, 1 point of soul power can exert several times the effect of others. For those talented geniuses, this function is more useful than improving the soul level. While Lin Moyu is comprehending the law, the soul body is also making changes to adapt to the law. This change is miraculous. The soul power is increasing, just like the experienced soul power gained from leveling and fighting monsters. Lin Moyu's level is also gradually rising. Although it is not as good as sweeping the Dragon Clan, it is not bad, and the victory lies in stability. As long as Lin Moyu's perception continues, the increase in soul power will not stop. In the blink of an eye, a month passed, and during this month, Lin Moyu's heart completely calmed down. The breath of the whole body became extremely calm, although Lin Moyu tried his best to keep calm during the continuous massacre some time ago. The breeding murderous aura was also absorbed by the Domain God Stone, but it still had some impact. These influences made his state of mind turbulent, and he could not completely calm down. Murderous aura has entered the soul, even the Domain God Stone can't suck it away. It also made him feel tired, and even the power of divinity couldn't erase it. Lin Moyu knew his situation. After finishing the killing, he went to Baishan Courtyard. After a good day of rest in the peaceful Baishan Courtyard, he was temporarily freed from the killing. But just one night's rest can't completely wipe out the side effects of killing. Until now, the last trace of murderous intent flew out from the depths of the soul, and was then taken away by the Domain God Stone. 9-colored dragon soul crystal absorbed Lin Moyu's soul power, and vomited back the purified soul power. With the help of the joint effect of the Domain God Stone and the 9-colored dragon soul crystal, where the inside meets the outside, finally the mind and soul are completely calmed down. Antares sensed the change of Lin Moyu's aura and woke up from Qiansheng. Good, calm down so quickly. I don't know how the law is comprehended, go and see. Antares entered Lin Moyu's soul world cautiously. It saw Lin Moyu's soul body, sitting in the center of the soul world, like a god. In the center of the two multi-star magic systems of the skeleton type and the summoning type, where the laws manifest, there are two clones. These two clones are split from the soul body, carrying Lin Moyu's will. They are observing the manifested laws and comprehending the mystery. Stinky boy, you actually have two purposes at once, using the soul-splitting method to comprehend at the same time. Antares couldn't laugh or cry. He didn't know whether to praise Lin Moyu for being smart or scold him for being bold. Others are engrossed in comprehending the law, so there is no one like Lin Moyu who is so dedicated to comprehend. In this way, not only will the efficiency not increase, but it may even decrease, and even nothing can be realized. The soul world suddenly groaned and trembled slightly. Lin Moyu's soul body opened its eyes and looked at Antares. Are you awake? Antares said unhappily, yeah, you brat, how did you come up with the idea of using the method of splitting the soul and using the law of perception? Lin Moyu asked strangely, can you? Antares snorted, it's not efficient. It's been a month, so just talk about it and see if you realize anything. Lin Moyu shook his head, I can't tell. Antares was slightly taken aback. Indeed, the understanding of the law cannot be expressed in words. If it can be written into a book, if it can be expressed in language, then future generations will still feel the fart, and just copy it directly from the predecessors. The understanding of the law is one's own, and one cannot tell others. Antares thought for a while, then did you gain anything? Lin Moyu pondered for a moment, I have gained a bit, but it's not yet usable. Then tell me, how did you come up with the idea of having two purposes at one time? Lin Moyu said, at the beginning, I didn't use two things at once. I first comprehended the rules of summoning, but I didn't gain anything. Later, I turned to the law of bones, but also failed. No matter what kind of perception, it feels like something is missing. Antares was slightly taken aback, is there something missing? It thought that when it realized the law of immortality before, it got nothing. Now that I think about it, something is missing. Lin Moyu continued, and the two types of laws seem similar, but they feel different to me. So I tried to use one mind and two tasks, and comprehend together, and it turned out to be quite effective. Antares stared at the manifestation of the laws in the multi-star spell, and murmured, "Impossible. These two laws look exactly the same." In his induction, there is no difference between these two laws, they are the same. From the very beginning, Lin Moyu gave them a name, called the Undead Law, which means the law that belongs to the undead world. Lin Moyu said, "It looks the same, but the inside is different." Both are laws of immortality. The laws of immortality of the skeleton type are more of death energy. Although there is a trace of vitality, but not much. The law of immortality of the summoning type is more of vitality, but also has a trace of death. Gas. As he said that, the soul body raised its finger and drew a figure, which is a yin and yang gossip. Antares said, "This is the yin-yang gossip, which is the pattern of your human race." Lin Moyu said, "The law of immortality gives me this feeling. One death and one life represent one yin and one yang. Then life brings death, and death brings life, just like the 2 points in the yin and yang gossip. The two are intertwined with each other, yet they are distinct, both interdependent and indispensable, yet independent of each other." The more Antares heard it, the more surprised he became. He didn't expect this law to be so magical. A law has completely different two sides, which is strange. "I'll try." Antares said, "Also with one mind and two purposes, the soul and body are divided into two. For it, splitting out several soul clones is as simple as drinking water." When it concentrated the will of the two soul clones on two different manifestation laws, it suddenly let out a strange sound. 963 mutations occurred in the two laws at the same time, attacking the soul clone of Antares. Antares' soul avatar is not strong, just an insignificant trace, directly annihilated under the law. The annihilation of the soul clone is just a trivial matter for Antares. At most it is just a little pain, but Antares is strange that these two laws will attack it at the same time. It didn't believe in evil, and tried a few more times. It finally discovered that the imprint belonging to Lin Moyu had already appeared in the law. The laws embodied by these two groups have become Lin Moyu's private property, and no one else can touch them. Marked so quickly? This is impossible. The brat obviously hasn't mastered the law yet. It feels very weird, and various things beyond common sense happen to Lin Moyu frequently, and it can't figure out why. Lin Moyu asked, "Are you okay?" Antares shook his head, "It's all right." "What did you realize?" Lin Moyu asked. Antares is also a dragon who wants to save face. How could he admit that he didn't understand at all, but was attacked instead? "This law is useless to me. It should be of great use to you. Understand it well, don't give up. Also, let me tell you that your human race has already organized a large army to govern the Dragon Clan World Park a few days ago. And this time the god-level powerhouse didn't do anything. This is the effect Lin Moyu wants. Let them sharpen their knives. The next battle will be the real battle. I hope this knife can be sharpened more and more sharply instead of broken." After Antares left, Lin Moyu once again fell into the comprehension of the law. The law of undead is magical. The multi-star magic system of the skeleton type is full of death breath, but there is a faint vitality in the death breath. In the multi-star magic system of summoning, the manifested laws are full of life breath, and death is also contained in the life breath. The two laws look the same on the outside, but are different on the inside. And both laws are missing, one for death, the other for death. Only when they are combined together, is the complete law of immortality. Control life and control death, achieve immortality. The process of comprehending the laws is amazing. Lin Moyu likes this feeling very much, and does not feel boring at all. Antares looked at the calm Lin Moyu, and murmured, "What is the origin of the brat, and why there is such a law, which is unheard of? Could it be that the big world runes are afraid of him, so they want to curse him? However, even if the spell cannot carry the law, as long as the brat can comprehend the law of immortality, the power of the spell can also be greatly increased, which is not much different from the law of carrying. In this way, the Great World Rune seems to be at a disadvantage again. It's really fun to try to suppress but fail. Guessing that the Great World Rune failed again, Antares seemed very happy. This thing is indeed the pursuit of many people, and Antares also wants to pursue it. But if one day, you can step on the Great World Rune under your feet, that will be the most exciting thing. With a trace of delusional excitement in his eyes, Antares looked towards the world of dragons. The human race professional team has started fighting with the dragon race professionals there. It is impossible for dragon professionals to stand still. Even if there is no Dragon King, they will still resist if they lose the Dragon King. Moreover, the Dragon Clan has quickly organized and formed a certain scale of resistance team. The human race also did not send out god-level powerhouses, so the two sides launched a tug of war. There are also constant injuries among the human race, so the human race began to establish strongholds, gradually nibbling and eliminating the dragon race. Meng Anwen and other high-level gods hid themselves and did not do anything. For many Terran professionals, this is a cruel ordeal. Failure to hone means death. Success is the warrior who will become the blade of the human race. In the blink of an eye, it has been 3 months since the human race attacked the dragon world. Many very outstanding characters have emerged in the Terran team. For example, the famous Goddess Squad, Earth Squad, and the Jielan Guild team. The Goddess team is composed of Shu Han, Mo Yun, Mu Shenxian and Ning Yi. Shu Han can both kill enemies and make medicines. Mo Yun is the summoner, responsible for the main attack. Mu Shenxian is used to attract enemies and at the same time control them. Ning Yi is intelligence reconnaissance and assassination. The four of them cooperated quite tacitly and quickly became famous. The Earth Squad is a team headed by Shi Xing'an. The core members of the team are him and Liang Yu. The strength of the Earth Knight was quickly revealed in this large-scale battle, and more people gathered around him. The Earth Knight lived up to its reputation, and it was indeed the ceiling of the knight profession. With his presence, the combat strength of the team can at least be multiplied several times. It is often possible to complete the battle of fighting more with less. Antares watched the battles like watching a movie. 3 months later, Meng Anwen activated the teleportation array again. This time it was a substitution. Most of the people who fought on the front line of the Dragon Clan returned to the human race world to recuperate. And those professionals in the human world who have not been on the battlefield will land in the Dragon world this time and face bloody swords and soldiers. The 12 teleportation arrays were activated, and the beams of light connected the sky and the earth. At this time, several insignificant cracks appeared in the air, and the cracks only appeared for a moment before disappearing. A few strands of something like thin threads passed through the crack, got in, and landed on some people. These people are all members of forces other than the Shenxia Empire. As long as they are members of the Shenxia Empire, they are not contaminated by the thin thread. No one in the human race noticed this, not even Meng Anwen, the person who controlled the formation, did not notice this. Only Antares saw it, with a strange smile in his eyes. The timing was good, but such a small move is useless. But having said that, this era is indeed very sad. The only thing to blame is that those guys in the previous era were too careless. Antares didn't say anything, nor told Lin Moyu. Ran and Lin Moyu are life and death friends and can be completely trusted. But there are some things, it also has its own principles. What should not be said, it will not say, and it cannot say. It looked at the deep space again. In the deep space, 1,000 bloodclansmen just divided up a huge alien beast. They ate raw flesh and blood, their hands and faces were covered with blood, and the smell of blood filled the air. At the same time, beside them, a formation is in operation. The two bloodclansmen had smirks in their eyes, and they had just finished controlling the formation. The seeds of chaos have been sown, just waiting to germinate. The native creatures in this world are human races, but unfortunately they are not born at the right time, they will fall into despair and commit suicide. Once the bloodline of our blood clansmen wakes up, they will gain enormous power from the blood ancestors, which is simply not something that this group of people can resist. Fortunately, they broke into the fragmented world this time, otherwise I don't know how long we'll have to wait. The blood clansman didn't know it, and Antares saw everything he did. Antares disdains this kind of stealthy behavior very much. If you have the ability, come here above board. Compared with the behavior of the blood clansmen, Antares felt that the gang of mixed blood dragons in his clan were more upright. The conquest of the dragon world is still going on, and in the blink of an eye another 3 months, Meng Anwen activated the cross-boundary teleportation array again to rotate the team. The team of the human race has been completely vigorous, whether it is the army or the civil organization, they have sharpened their knives very sharply. Everyone has a fighting spirit on their faces, and their spirits have become very different. Professionals who have been on the battlefield and those who have not been on the battlefield are completely different. Meng Anwen was very pleased with the success of the human race. Lin Moyu's plan worked very successfully. Time passed day by day, and a year had passed in the blink of an eye since the first time I entered the dragon world. The 3-monthly rotation has also been carried out 4 times. The original plan was 6 months to 1 year, but the resistance of the dragon clan exceeded his expectation, and the time would be extended a bit. But if this continues, it will be almost a year at most. The resistance of the dragon clan began to weaken gradually, and the victory of the human race had been completely established. Lao Meng, you don't feel that something is wrong recently? Feng Shu came to Meng Anwen's side and said in a low voice. Meng Anwen narrowed his eyes slightly, to Li Jiao. You mean, those people from the Eagle Kingdom? That's right. Meng Anwen looked at Bai Yiyuan not far away. Old Bai, tell me. Bai Yiyuan has an intelligence team under his command, which grasps all aspects of intelligence on the battlefield. Bai Yiyuan said, some professionals in the Eagle Kingdom began to grow rapidly in strength about half a year ago. Initially, the growth was only a few people, no more than 10 people. Quote, at first we thought they had some chance, so we didn't pay too much attention. In the past 3 months, the number of people whose strength has grown strangely has begun to increase, and the increase is very fast. It's not just those people from the Eagle Kingdom, but also some Western European teams, such as St. Christian, have similar situations. Feng Shu said in a deep voice, are they all foreigners? Have you found the reason? Bai Yiyuan shook his head, I didn't find it, but we are already paying attention. Feng Shu said in a deep voice, although they are also human races, those who are not my race must have different hearts, so you must be careful. Bai Yiyuan nodded, don't worry, there won't be any waves. Everyone knows the strength of the Shenxia Empire. No matter how the other forces toss, how the strength increases. Just one of Bai Yiyuan and the others is enough to make them unable to move. However, Bai Yiyuan did not relax because of this. He has been investigating this matter, but there has been no result. Another 5 months have passed, and it looks like it will be the next rotation. At this time, the battle in the dragon world is coming to an end, and the remnants of the dragon are making their final resistance. Their territory has shrunk to a very small size and has been pushed into a corner. The human race has plowed the dragon world over and over again. No matter how deeply it is hidden, they can find it out. In the icy world, surrounded by icebergs on 3 sides, there is a simple hut. There was steam rising in the room, and Meng Anwen and others were drinking tea and chatting. A group of elderly people talked about what happened when they were young, and they had endless things to say. Meng Anwen said softly, it's almost over. A teacup was suspended in front of Ning Tyran, and the waterline automatically entered his mouth. The Millennium Dispute is finally coming to an end. Feng Shu clenched his fists. After the Dragon Clan comes the Abyss, and it's time for me to fight. Meng Anwen said, the knives of the human race have been sharpened. Let's strike while the iron is hot, take down the Abyss, and solve the troubles in our hearts. Mo Xinghai showed a little worry. How can the Demon Emperor pay back? There are no half-step super gods in the human race, and the demon emperor cannot be regarded as an ordinary half-step super god. Even if they were tied together, they would not be her opponents. Meng Anwen said, the demon emperor will leave it to Xiao Yu. He did not mention the cooperation between Lin Moyu and Lilian. Some things don't need to be said. Meng Anwen knew that no matter whether Lin Moyu would do something or not, the demon emperor would not stop them. However, the demon emperor will not take action against the abyss demon. Dealing with abyssal demons is much more difficult than dealing with dragons.
There are a large number of demon kings among the demons, and there are 4 high-level demon kings. It is already foreseeable that the human race will inevitably pay the price in blood. But if it succeeds, it is worth it. The door of the hut was knocked open with a bang, and Bai Yiyuan walked in with the wind and snow. Problem occurs. With a sullen face, Bai Yiyuan opened his mouth with 3 words, which made everyone present feel a little thumped. Bai Yiyuan's complexion is not good, which already shows that the problem is a bit serious. Feng Shu was impatient and immediately asked, did something happen to our people? Bai Yiyuan nodded. Recently, our casualties have been a bit high. At first, we thought it was the Dragon Clan's dying counterattack, but the casualties of those guys are very small. I asked someone to investigate, and the investigation took half a month before the results came out. Our people were not killed by the Dragon Clan. In the Dragon world, either ACCJ, the dragon or the human race. The human race is either Shengxia people, or other forces. Since it was not killed by the Dragon Clan, who else could have killed it? All of a sudden, killing intent rose in the house, and the simple hut was shattered into pieces. The cold light flickered, the long sword was unsheathed, Feng Shu held the sharp sword in his hand. Do they dare to attack our people? Where is it? The old man is going to kill him. Bai Yiyuan shook his head, not just one, but all of them. All. Ning Tairen asked, you mean, all of them attacked our people? Bai Yiyuan nodded, yes, and the action was very sudden. Meng Anwen asked in a deep voice, how about the casualties? Casualties are not small, and according to the results of recent investigations, this is not the first time this kind of action has been taken. As early as a month ago, they were already doing it secretly, and this time it is a full-scale outbreak. Started stealthily from a month ago. Feng Shu said, no wonder, our casualty rate has increased significantly half a month ago. It turned out to be these beasts. If it's really not my race, their hearts must be different. This group of people is a disaster. Mo Xinghai was calmer than Feng Shu. How is the situation now? It has stabilized, we reacted quickly, and blocked it in time after receiving an attack. But those guys don't know why. Their strength has greatly increased, and many top professionals have appeared, and our side is a little bit struggling. Feng Shu gritted his teeth. The Dragon Clan has not been completely wiped out, and the abyssal demons have not moved. It is too anxious to cause internal strife like this. Meng Dingwen shook his head. It shouldn't be like this, there should be something that we don't know about. Feng Shu said in a deep voice, no matter what, just kill them. I didn't have a reason before, but this time it's just right. Feng Shu's murderous intent surged, causing the sky to be filled with wind and snow. Meng Anwen said, I suspect that something is wrong not only in the dragon world, but also in the human world. Here I leave it to you, Mr. Ning, Mr. Yi and I will return to the human world with me. Okay. Ning Tairen and Yi Hao responded at the same time. Speaking of which, Meng Anwen summoned the god Shata, and shot out countless runes to fly into the god Shata. Shengxiata turned slowly, and a large teleportation array was formed quickly. Meng Anwen led Ning Tairen and Yi Hao into the formation and returned to the human world. Bai Yiyuan, Feng Shu, and Mo Xinghai stayed in the dragon world. Feng Shu said, where are they? Tell Bai Kuolu. Let's go. Bai Yiyuan was also murderous at this time, and the 3 of them turned into streamers and flew towards the distance. Back in the human world, Meng Anwen immediately communicated the formation in the Yuan battlefield. Through the array, Meng Anwen saw what happened in the fortresses of the Yuan battlefield. His face changed slightly. Those guys are attacking our fortress. Then he continued to sense the formations in the Shengxia Empire. The defensive array of the Shengxia Empire has been activated, and people are attacking in every city. The battlefield spread across the entire border of the Shengxia Empire. There are so many people besieging the Shengxia Empire that they are too numerous to count. Without exception, they are all non-god real people. It looks like the battle hasn't been long since. Old Yi, please go to Yuan battlefield, I leave it to you. Yi Hao agreed without hesitation, okay. Meng Anwen activated the teleportation array and sent Yi Hao into the Yuan battlefield. In the next moment, Gu and I resolutely opened the Eternal Great Wall. In the Yuan battlefield, the 9 fortresses of the Shengxia Empire joined together and turned into an iron wall. Once the Eternal Great Wall opened, the situation immediately stabilized. The Eternal Great Wall not only protects the fortress in the Yuan battlefield, but also protects the border of the Shengxia Empire. The Shengxia Empire immediately stabilized. Let's go. Meng Anwen took Ning Tairen to a border city. At this time, a formation shield was set up outside the city to block the enemy's attack. At a glance, there are countless enemies outside the formation. Not only here, the whole country is the same. At this moment, it was as if the whole world was attacking the Shengxia Empire. It should be said that all non-Shengxia people in the world are attacking the Shengxia Empire. Ning Tairen's face became very ugly. What happened and why did it happen? The situation in front of me is really abnormal. If it's just a part of it, that's fine, but if it's like this all over the world, then it's not right. And those forces are not ignorant of the strength of the Shengxia Empire. No matter how many of them there are, they are no match for the Shengxia Empire. Meng Anwen looked at the crazy crowd. There is something wrong with these people. Mouth. Ning Tairen looked carefully, but did not see the problem for a while. At this time, Meng Anwen made a move, and it stretched out its hand to grab it, and transformed into a giant hand, and grabbed one of them. Look. Meng Anwen controlled him and opened his mouth forcefully. There is a pair of fangs in the mouth, although small, but very sharp. Humans shouldn't have such fangs. Ning Tairen said, these are not human teeth, they are a bit like wild animals. Meng Anwen nodded, and their eyes are full of madness, they are different from the human race. At this time, his eyes narrowed slightly, a professional attacking formation, wearing a Shengxia military uniform. Meng Anwen reached out and grabbed the man in Shengxia's uniform. He is a Shengxia soldier. It should be said that he used to be a Shengxia soldier. Now for some reason, he has lost his mind, his eyes are full of madness, and he is attacking his motherland. A pair of fangs also grew out of his mouth. Although he was controlled by Meng Anwen, the ferocity in his eyes remained unchanged, and he opened his mouth as if to bite Meng Anwen. Ning Tairen's face became extremely ugly. What's wrong with him? Meng Anwen looked carefully and finally found a pair of wounds on his neck. The wound was not big, but it was very strange. Judging from the size and distance, it could just meet the fangs in the mouth. This wound should be bitten. He should have become like this after being bitten. Ning Tairen heard Meng Anwen's words, glanced over, and saw several people wearing Shengxia costumes. He grabbed those people and found that everyone had similar wounds. Meng Anwen then arrested several people from other forces, but there were no corresponding wounds on them. After some judgment, Meng Anwen was almost certain that the reason why the Shengxia people became so crazy, like wild animals and irrational, was because of being bitten. The reason why people from other forces have become like this is still unknown. As long as the Shengxia people are not bitten, they will not become in this crazy state. Meng Anwen immediately issued an order, so no one was allowed to leave the formation or attack. In the case of unknown reasons, the first thing to do is to reduce casualties. With the Eternal Great Wall, it will not be a problem in a short time. Meng Anwen said, Old Ning, take these people to Yao Lao and see if Yao Lao can find out the reason and make them recover. Speaking of which, Meng Anwen activated the teleportation array for Ning Tairen and sent him away. Meng Anwen quickly teleported between several cities to see the general situation. The situation in each city is similar, and those foreign forces have gone crazy. There are several small countries among them. Even though they don't have any powerful professionals among them, they all joined the ranks of attacking the Shengxia Empire at this moment. Although these people are crazy and seemingly irrational, their purpose seems to be very clear, which is to attack Shengxia. In other words, they regard themselves as the same kind, while the Shengxia people are different in their eyes. Meng Anwen's face was gloomy, and Shen Xiata interweaved a huge formation to open the passage to the Dragon Clan. Meng Anwen returned to the Dragon World, quickly located by Yiyuan's location, and teleported there. With the presence of the god Xiata, Meng Anwen came and went very quickly. As long as he could locate it, he could arrive in an instant. There is no eternal Great Wall in the Dragon World, and the situation is much worse. Enemies are coming from all directions, and those guys from all sides have become crazy at this moment, besieging the Shenxia people frantically. The Shenxia people gathered together and formed a legion for defense. In the dragon world, there are many battlefields. The Shenxia people are being besieged and hurt. Bai Yiyuan, Feng Shu, Mo Xinghai, and a few other god-level powerhouses had already dispersed and kept going back and forth. Bai Yiyuan punched out, the law roared, and an illusory giant fist fell from the sky, hitting the ground like a meteor. A radius of 100 meters was raised to the ground, killing hundreds of people in one fell swoop. Bai Yiyuan's murderous aura boiled over. Just after a while, thousands of people died in his hands. Behind him is a Shenxia team of 1,000 people. There seemed to be a lot of casualties in the team. If Bai Yiyuan hadn't made a move, they would have been besieged to death. Old Bai, how is the situation? Meng Anwen asked anxiously. Bai Yiyuan shook his head. It's not very good, our team is too scattered, and we are being besieged everywhere. Thousands of rays of light shrouded the surrounding fields from the god of chattering Shata, and all the races present were included in the Shata of the god. Although the Shenxia Tower does not have a huge space like the Trial Tower, it is still no problem to accommodate tens of thousands of people. Meng Anwen already had a countermeasure when he rolled his eyes. Well, let's find someone separately, and if you find someone, tell me the location. Okay. How about the Empire? Bai Yiyuan also asked anxiously. The Eternal Great Wall is opened, and the Empire is fine for the time being. Meng Anwen replied quickly, without stopping. Shen Xiata intertwined a teleportation formation and left with Meng Anwen. At this time, it was already a race against time. Before they could figure out the situation, they had to save people first. Every time the time dragged on for a while, the casualties would increase a lot. The two went separately, and Bai Yiyuan went to find someone. Meng Anwen took people to teleport outside the Dragon Clan Imperial City. The Dragon Imperial City has now become ruins, and there are 12 cross-boundary teleportation arrays arranged outside the city, which are exactly the same as the cross-boundary teleportation arrays in the human world. Every time it is rotated, the teleportation array here will be activated. Normally, the Shenxia Empire sent troops to station here, guarding the teleportation array. At this time, this place has also become a battlefield. Corpses are strewn all over the ground. Most of them are personnel from other forces, and there are not many Shenxia soldiers. These corpses were basically decapitated and decapitated. Meng Anwen knew at a glance that it was Feng Shu who did it. Feng Shu seemed impatient, not an idiot. He first came to the teleportation array and killed all the enemies attacking the teleportation array. It is correct to defend the teleportation array first and leave a way out. Meng Anwen released the people he had brought, and then gave a few orders before leaving again. In the following time, Meng Anwen ran around every corner of the dragon world at the fastest speed, bringing wave after wave of people back to the teleportation array. Bai Yiyuan, Feng Shu, Mo Xinghai, and some god-level powerhouses belonging to the Shenxia Empire all cooperated with Meng Anwen with all their strength. 2 days later, almost 99% of the Shenxia people in the dragon world had been found by them and brought back to the area of the teleportation array. As they returned, the center of the battlefield shifted towards the location of the teleportation array. These guys seemed to be able to smell the whereabouts of the Shenxia people, and quickly followed them. But there are Feng Shu and others guarding here, forming the strongest line of defense. Did the statistics come out? Bai Yiyuan asked loudly. He had just killed thousands of people and came back with murderous intent. Meng Anwen is preparing for the opening of the teleportation position, and at the same time, he is doing two things, counting the number of people. In the last rotation, our Shenxia Empire had 10 million people. Only 8 million people returned this time. Bai Yiyuan clenched his fists. This time the loss is too great. What happened to those guys? They all turned into beasts. Meng Anwen shook his head. He still hasn't fully figured out this question. There is just a faint guess in my heart, not very sure. Bai Yiyuan said, I know you must have some ideas, let me hear them. Meng Anwen kept his hands still, and looked up at the sky. I suspect it has something to do with the outside. Bai Yiyuan was slightly taken aback. Are you sure? Almost, otherwise it wouldn't be like this all of a sudden. Bai Yiyuan couldn't help feeling a chill in his heart, but then he was angry. He held a pair of iron fists. No matter who dares to attack our Shenxia, I will smash its head. The human world was originally the capital of the Eagle Kingdom. A group of strong men gathered together, and a grand dinner was being held. They come from different forces, including those from the Eagle Kingdom, those from the Holy Christianity, and those from Western Europe. More than 20 god-level powerhouses gathered together, and their aura was extremely powerful. Without exception, they had a pair of fangs at the corners of their mouths, and a cold, bloodthirsty look in their eyes. But none of them lost their minds. Their costumes are also extremely uniform, wearing black robes and a black cloak behind them. Like an evil religion, it is daunting. One of them, a god-level powerhouse who had reached level 94, became the leader of everyone. The command of the Lord, the second stage can be started. There was excitement in the eyes of everyone present, really. Well, start the second stage, start the Feast of Blood. Open the Feast of Blood. Let's have fun, the blood race will eventually become the masters of this world. Cheers to my Lord. Everyone raised their wine glasses high, and what was in the wine glass was not wine, but blood, a blood scarf from the Shenxia people. The second stage is also known as the Feast of Blood. The invisible power of law is transmitted from the human race world, from this banquet. As if a switch was turned on, the world's mutations happened suddenly. In the deep space, 1,000 blood clansmen opened a formation. This formation is like a pool of blood, bright red. The Feast of Blood begins here. Antares watched this scene happen without any intention of doing anything, and he didn't even notify Lin Moyu. In its eyes, this is just a trivial matter. Even without Lin Moyu, Meng Anwen and others are enough to deal with it. As long as the bottom line is not broken, Antares is too lazy to move. A sad time. Antares murmured and continued watching the play. In the dragon world, the teleportation array is activated. 12 beams of light shot up into the sky, connected to the god Charter, and opened up the passage back to the human race. Everyone, enter the teleportation array. Meng Anwen's voice boomed, and, March 20th, reached everyone's ears. But what answered him was a terrifying scream. This scream seemed to be a switch, starting the crazy moment. The screams were extremely ear-piercing, not like the sounds a human could make. After the first scream, there were continuous screams, followed by screams. What happened? Everyone was shocked. There are nearly 10 million people gathered here, all over the mountains and plains, and you can't see the end at a glance. It's an unimaginably huge team. At this time, in the team, pillars of blood shot up into the sky, and the smell of blood permeated the air instantly. The line became chaotic almost instantly. Meng Anwen saw that someone in the team suddenly mutated, their normal expressions suddenly became ferocious, and the rationality in their eyes disappeared in an instant, replaced by bloodthirsty madness. This appearance is exactly the same as that of other forces before. After these people mutated, they immediately began to attack the people around them, causing a large number of casualties in an instant. Problem occurs. Why did something happen all of a sudden? Don't worry about it so much, save people first. The god-level powerhouse reacted very quickly, and some top professionals also reacted and started their hands one after another. The aura of those Shenxia people who had undergone mutations began to explode sharply, and their strength increased significantly. It seems that a strange power has entered their bodies and sprouted. Then their body shapes also changed one after another, and wings grew out of their backs, completely breaking away from the category of human beings. Their strength quickly reached level 80, which was comparable to many top experts. Meng Anwen's face was extremely ugly, he gritted his teeth and said viciously, "It's really an outsider." At this moment, he can already be sure that it will never be the ghost of an outsider. The chaos erupted so suddenly that even a god-level powerhouse could not completely stop it. Casualties were heavy for a while, at least tens of thousands of professionals were injured. Fortunately, there are also a large number of therapists among professionals, and treatment is performed immediately. Finally, the situation was brought under control and slowly calmed down. But suddenly, there was another scream. The mutation happened again. Meng Anwen's face changed suddenly. The people who changed this time were all those who were injured just now. Meng Anwen understood in an instant, and shouted sharply, "No one is allowed to be treated for any injuries. Everyone stay away from the injured. God-level powerhouse, kill mutants immediately." Meng Anwen pointed at the god Siata, and the god Siata immediately shot countless rays of light, accurately and silently killing the mutant. Because Meng Anwen discovered it in time, the second mutation did not cause too many casualties. In the two mutations, the original 8 million team lost hundreds of thousands of staff again. In just half a day, hundreds of thousands of people died. And these people are all their compatriots. Everyone's face is ugly, and this feeling of cannibalism is very bad. Anwen's orders were issued one after another, and everyone checked themselves and those around them. It cannot be injured, and once injured, it may mutate. Soon, all those who were injured, no matter when they were injured, were found out and separated separately. There is no way to do this, and if they mutate, it will be a catastrophe. This kind of mutation is like a seed. As long as there is a little carelessness, the seed can take root and germinate. The teleportation array has stopped just now, and these people can only temporarily stay in the dragon world under the uncertain safety conditions. The team stayed here, and Bai Yiyuan and the others could not move. Up to now, there are still professionals from other forces coming from all directions. Bai Yiyuan and others will not let these people approach the team, and kill them from a distance. Feng Shu asked, "What should we do now?" Meng Anwen thought for a while, pile up all the corpses and burn them. All the wounded people were separated from the team, and they were kept at a certain distance from each other, and they were guarded by the army. I feel that this matter is not so simple. Feng Shu asked, "What about you?" Meng Anwen had already realized something at this time. I want to go back to the Empire, and I hope nothing will happen to the Empire. The Shengxia Empire is the foundation, and it is troublesome for Chia Qian to go out there. Meng Anwen ordered the affairs here, activated the teleportation array immediately, and returned to the Empire alone. As soon as he came out of the space-time tunnel, Meng Anwen's face changed suddenly. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Looking down from a high position, there are a large number of corpses lying in the city. Many professionals are packing up the corpses, as if they have just experienced a big battle. Fires were burning everywhere, and the corpses were thrown into the fire after their names were recorded and burned to ashes. Meng Anwen changed several cities in a row, but the results were almost the same. Something really happened. And something happened in the entire empire. Old Ning, where are you? And Wen contacted Ning Tyrant. Imperial Palace. Ning Tyrant quickly answered. In the palace, a group of high-level officials from the Shengxia Empire gathered together. Everyone looked dignified, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. The huge pillars in the palace squeaked occasionally, as if they couldn't bear the oppression. After Meng Anwen arrived, there was no unnecessary nonsense, and he quickly exchanged the information he had. Based on the information currently known, conclusions have been drawn. The source of this mutation is everyone except the Shengxia people. At the beginning, the Shengxia people were not affected. Among them are the Shengxia people living abroad, who were also not affected. But those hybrids with Shengxia's blood were also affected, and they mutated in the first round. In that mutation, many Shengxia people died, but many more were injured. Those Shengxia people who were injured have recovered after treatment. Most of them are combat professionals, basically on the front line. Only a small number returned to their hometowns and spread to all parts of the country. Then came the second round of mutation. 5.2 At this time, the Shengxia people were also affected and mutated. These mutated people were all injured by the mutated people in the first round of mutation. It can also be explained that this mutation is infectious. The Empire has also taken corresponding measures, which are similar to those adopted by Meng Anwen in the Dragon World. Isolate the injured and burn the body to prevent further accidents. Meng Anwen looked at Xu Yaoshan. Old Yao, what do you think? Xu Yaoshan said in a low voice, the old man has studied it, but there is no gain. The source of this mutation should be in people who are not of Shengxia's blood. Even Xu Yaoshan couldn't find the source of the problem, and things became extremely difficult. Blood, Dongfang Li suddenly said, I seem to have read some information. Dongfang Li is in charge of the Royal Secret Library, and he has read all the records about ancient history in the Royal Secret Library. Some of the materials that have been lost are still preserved in the tomb. Dongfang Li quickly retrieved the information from the secret library. This is a very, very old ancient book, at least 1,000 years old. The ancient book has obviously been restored, and the pages are now spread out and kept in a box. Meng Anwen just glanced at it and knew that this ancient book was older than the history of the Shengxia Empire. The history before the Shengxia Empire was missing. Only the royal family retains a small amount of information. Dongfang Li said, the writing on it is very ancient, but it is somewhat similar to the writing of our Shengxia Empire. According to the records in ancient books, we experienced a great battle in ancient times. As a result, historical records have broken generations. Everyone present has heard the legend about the Great War. Some people think that the severance of the super god and the fall of the gods are related to the Flat War. Some people also believe that the Great War was a non-existent existence at all, and it never happened at all. Unexpectedly, among the royal family, there were records about that great battle. Even a scaly claw can prove that the Great War existed. Dongfang Li said, according to the records of O2, the two sides in that battle, one of them is the coalition formed by our human race and the gods. What? Everyone was shocked and looked at Dongfang Li in disbelief. Ning Tairen twitched the corner of his mouth twice. What about the other side? Is it the abyssal demon or the dragon? Dongfang Li shook his head. I don't know, the ancient book was severely damaged, and this piece of information was lost. Ning Tairen sighed softly. This is also a helpless thing, after all, it is too long ago. Meng Anwen had already guessed who the other party was. That was an invader from beyond the sky. Including this time, in all likelihood, it was also the work of those guys from Tianwai. Ning Tairen asked, is there any connection between what happened at that time and what we are doing now? Dongfang Li said, I used to be obsessed with the study of ancient history, read countless records about ancient history, combined with my own judgment, and came to a conclusion. At that time, the human race referred to our Shengxia people, and there were no blonde and blue-eyed guys. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked again. Yi Hao said in a low voice, the old man has heard similar words before, and the saying that people who are not of my race must have different hearts is also handed down from the ancestors. The old ancestor left such words, there must be a deep meaning. Ning Tairen whispered, according to what you said, if there are only us Shengxia people in the human race, where do those foreigners come from? Dongfang Li shook his head, expressing that he did not know. He couldn't make an accurate judgment on this question. After thinking about it, Meng Anwen slowly said, these people should come from the deep space. Everyone should have been to deep space, where there are many monsters we have never seen, which are completely different from the monsters in our world. There are also many humanoid monsters. Meng Anwen originally wanted to say directly that it might have been made by an outsider. But thinking about it, it was finally changed to deep space, which is more acceptable to people. Ning Tairen's complexion became extremely complicated. You mean, those guys are bastards? Xu Yaoshan patted his thigh. If that's the case, then it makes sense. Dongfang Li also nodded. This can also explain why only our ancestors can enter the ancient city of Shengxia. Whether it's people from other forces or abyssal demons, dragon people can't get in. Perhaps the ancient city of Shengxia believed that our Shengxia talents are the true orthodox human race, and the others are not human races. Xu Yaoshan continued, when I was doing drug experiments, I compared the blood of our Shengxia people and people from other countries, and there is indeed a big difference between the two. Their blood has some other elements, so it's very messy. It's not like the blood of our Shengxia people, which is pure and clean. With the same skill, the effect that our Shengxia people can exert is stronger than theirs. The same medicine has a better therapeutic effect on us than them. Everyone said something to me, and quickly settled the matter. Except for the Shengxia people, people from other countries can't be regarded as the orthodox human race. Their blood vessels are polluted and have impurities. They became aliens. Antares let out a hey laugh. It's pretty smart, I thought of it so quickly. What did you think of? Lin Moyu's voice came suddenly. Antares saw that Lin Moyu had woken up. It has been more than a year since he comprehended the law this time. Lin Moyu is now surrounded by a faint breath of law. Obviously he has gained a lot. Antares said, something happened in your family. Lin Moyu raised his eyebrows slightly. What's the matter? Antares said, there is a race called the Blood Race, which settled in your human race more than 1,000 years ago, and now it is starting to move. Bloodlines. Doesn't sound like a good deal. Thousands of years ago. Was it when the Great War just ended, when the Dragon Clan and the Abyssal Demons came? Antares nodded. Almost. They actually came earlier than Dragon Abyss, but they used different methods. As it was about the human race, Lin Moyu didn't care to ask word for word, but said directly, tell me in detail. At Lin Moyu's request, Antares told the story. Only then did Lin Moyu know that there are so many countries and so many races in the world, except for the Shengxia people, the rest are pawns laid by the Blood Race. The Blood Clan obtained the blood of the strong Shengxia, combined with other blood, and used the unique methods to create a new race. In essence, it is similar to the Zerlong of the Dragon Clan. These people have reproduced and changed from generation to generation, and have reproduced various races. But no matter how it changes, they have the imprint of the Blood Clan from the root of their blood, and they are destined to be slave chess pieces of the Blood Clan. Originally they were in the human world, and the blood race was in the deep space. Under the protection of the power of the world, the human race cannot control its chess pieces at all. Only this time, the human race aggressively attacked the dragon world. The dragon world is just a fragmented world, and it is relatively close to the deep space in terms of space. The blood race sensed their existence, and the pawns that had been stagnant for thousands of years also began to move. Lin Moyu said in a deep voice, in the final analysis, the 130 bloods just want to take over this world. Antares shook his head. That's right, the purpose is the same as the abyss and the dragon race. If you want to conquer the world, you must destroy the will of the world. The existence of the will of the world is very special, and the easiest way is to kill all the Honda creatures. The strongest among the native creatures is the human race. As long as the human race can be destroyed, it will not be too difficult to obtain this world. The Dragon Clan used a tough method to attack head-on, but failed in the end. The Blood Clan used insidious methods to disintegrate from the inside. Antares laughed and said, "Are you going to do it? The strength of Lin Moyu has surpassed all the strong men in the human race. And Lin Moyu has an army of undead. If he does it, he will be able to calm down the matter soon." Lin Moyu thought for a while. "Don't move, this is a blessing or a curse for the human race." Oh, Antares was a little strange. Lin Moyu said, "It's just a pawn of the blood race. I believe the teacher can handle it well. There may be casualties, but I still mean that. Human race needs sharpness and sharpening. The sharpened knife doesn't necessarily have to deal with dragon demons, but with all kinds of enemies. If one day, I really go to the big world, the current training will become a life-saving talisman in the future." Antares smiled. Lin Moyu has his own ideas, he values the human race, but he will not be a nanny. If you want to really become stronger, you still have to rely on yourself in the end. In that case, let's watch the show. Lin Moyu said, "Well, I'll move the skills first." Under the protection of the power of the world, the human race cannot control its chess pieces at all. Only this time, the human race aggressively attacked the dragon world. The dragon world is just a fragmented world, and it is relatively close to the deep space in terms of space. The blood race sensed their existence, and the pawns that had been stagnant for thousands of years also began to move. Lin Moyu said in a deep voice, in the final analysis, the 130 bloods just want to take over this world. Antares shook his head. That's right, the purpose is the same as the abyss and the dragon race. If you want to conquer the world, you must destroy the will of the world. The existence of the will of the world is very special, and the easiest way is to kill all the Honda creatures. The strongest among the native creatures is the human race. As long as the human race can be destroyed, it will not be too difficult to obtain this world. The Dragon Clan used a tough method to attack head-on, but failed in the end. The Blood Clan used insidious methods to disintegrate from the inside. Antares laughed and said, "Are you going to do it? The strength of Lin Moyu has surpassed all the strong men in the human race. And Lin Moyu has an army of undead. If he does it, he will be able to calm down the matter soon." Lin Moyu thought for a while. "Don't move, this is a blessing or a curse for the human race." Oh, Antares was a little while comprehending the law. Lin Moyu's soul power rose steadily. The essence of gaining experience is to enhance the soul power. Because of the realization of the laws, the difficulty for Lin Moyu to comprehend the laws is greatly reduced, and the speed of comprehension is many times faster than others. In just 1.5 years, Lin Moyu himself has improved from level 86 to level 87. Lin Moyu has already felt the benefits of this way of cultivation. Compared to killing monsters, saints get 10,000 souls. The soul power obtained by this kind of self-cultivation is more pure. Coupled with the tempering of the 9-colored dragon's soul crystal, every ounce of soul power is several times better than that of the same level. As the comprehension of the law gradually deepens, the soul adapts to the law and undergoes slight changes. At this time, there is already a faint breath of law in the soul itself. Although it is not yet to the point where he can use the palm of his hand, Lin Moyu can feel that his manipulation of the trap method is more appropriate. It seems that the laws contained in the technique can also be slightly driven. With the existence of the Great World Rune Curse, the spell cannot bear the laws of the outside world, but it cannot stop the laws of the spell itself. Lin Moyu only needs to understand the laws to a certain height, and he can drive the laws carried by the spell itself, thus avoiding the curse of the Big World Rune. After more than a year, I entered the skill space again. Looking at the remaining 7 skill star cores in the skill, Lin Moyu said softly, "You are too lonely here." Said that the soul power turned into a giant hand, and grabbed the nearest skill star core. Pulling the soul force outward, the skill star core was pulled without any resistance. So easy. Unexpectedly easy, and not much resistance. Although the soul power has increased greatly after being promoted to 1 level, it is not so easy. It seems that I have not been promoted to 1 level, but several levels. Lin Moyu knew that this was because the soul force had become pure, and a single force exerted several times the effect. This way of self-cultivation is really good. Lin Moyu easily dragged the skill star core into the soul world without any difficulty. If it weren't for the thought that Antares would become cross-eyed again, Lin Moyu would really like to move 2 at a time. After more than a year, Antares was excited again. With a slap, a true god-level power erupted, following with his soul. The power of the true god level is too strong, not Lin Moyu can resist it. The undead army of the spell star collapsed, and the attack power of Antares was exhausted after 3 consecutive collapses. Antares blinked his big eyes. "Are you hard again?" Lin Moyu nodded. "It seems so." The final converted spell is Summon Lich General, and its appearance constitutes a 6-star spell system. Skeletons, Doom Knights, and Elemental Liches have all been enhanced. This also led to the further enhancement of Lin Moyu's defense. Antares struck again, attacking exactly the same. Under the tracking of the soul, the undead army collapsed again. After 2 consecutive collapses, it was finally Lin Moyu's turn. With a strong purple light, Lin Moyu was born again. Antares used the power of the First-Order True God, that is to say, it would take at least 2 attacks for an ordinary First-Order True God to kill Lin Moyu. As for the Super God level, I don't know how many times, maybe it's possible that I can't kill it. Soon, the skill star core was transformed into a sleepy star with the cooperation of the 2. "What spell do you want this time?" Antares asked. Lin Moyu looked indifferent. "It's not important, I'm going to vacate anyway." The corners of Antares' mouth twitched, and what he said was that people are more angry than people. If someone said that he wanted to convert all his skills into spells, and it was a stellar spell, Antares would definitely call him crazy. In the big world, there are some people whose skills are all converted into spells, but like Lin Moyu, almost all skills are converted into star-level spells, which is unique. The fireball exploded, just like the explosion when the world first opened, and small black spots appeared as expected. Antares was deeply involved, and Lin Moyu continued to remember the breath of the little black spot, while feeling the changes in his own soul. In the process of understanding the law, the soul is always making progress. Not only is the soul power improving, but the soul level is also gradually improving. Although the soul has not yet reached level 95, at least it has gone a long way on the road to level 94. The magic star feeds back the soul power, strengthens and stabilizes the soul world, and also slightly enhances the soul level. Let the soul level get closer and closer to level 95, ACBF. Soul Curse, Fusion 100%, curse the specified target, reduce all the target's abilities in all directions, and expand all the damage the target receives. The duration, effect, and range are determined by the soul level. Close black lens bracket. The Curse of Aging skill has been transformed into a star-level spell, and a huge change has taken place. Not only the effect has changed, even the name has changed. Soul Curse. Sounds like a curse on the soul. Reduces all abilities of the target and amplifies all damage the target takes. It's no longer as simple as decelerating and increasing damage. The target's attack power, defense power, vitality, and even soul power will all be reduced. Coupled with the extended damage, it is enough to reduce the enemy's strength by several levels. The duration of the area effect is determined by the soul level. In fact, Lin Moyu discovered long ago that the strength of spells is basically determined by the soul. What kind of soul can produce what kind of effect? The level of the soul determines the power of the spell. Sir Antares repeatedly emphasized that the soul is the root of everything. Antares asked, "How?" "Try it." He cast a soul curse on Antares. Antares didn't feel anything, his soul just felt a little heavy, but it returned to normal in an instant. The soul level gap between the two is too big, and nothing can be tested. Lin Moyu is not in a hurry, he knows that his skills will not be too bad. At least so far, none of the spells are bad. There is still a lot of soul power left, enough for him to continue to move the skill star core. Soon Lin Moyu moved out the skill star core twice in a row. No matter how angry the skill space is, it can't stop Lin Moyu. Antares once again got his wish and watched the little black dot twice. He didn't know what this guy had realized, and he was in a very good mood. Lin Moyu added 2 more star-level spells. Soul Poison, Fusion 100%, casts Soul Poison on the target, causing the target to suffer continuous damage. The duration, effect, and range are determined by the soul level. Close black lens bracket. The poisonous starburst has become a soul poison. The key is that after the soul poison is transformed, it is connected with the soul curse, forming a double star spell system. Antares opened his mouth wide, shocked. The third multi-star spell. Are you? Lin Moyu also felt a little crazy. He also didn't expect that after the skill star core can be transformed into a magic star, even the name will be changed. He felt that this multi-star technique is not only 2 stars, but he also has the skill of Soul Flame. If nothing else, the Soul Flame will also join it and become a member of the third multi-star magic system. But after thinking about it carefully, it is a matter of course. After all, under the influence of infinite fusion skills, the 3 skills can be fused with each other, and even a trace of time law is born. This is enough to prove that these 3 skills are originally of the same category. Isn't it normal to transform it into a spell now and form a multi-star spell system? This time the last skill star core was also carried over, and quickly transformed into a spell star. Soul Burning, Fusion 100%, burn the soul of the target. The duration, effect, and range are determined by the level of the soul. Soul Flame becomes Soul Burning. It was originally just a single skill, but now it has become a group spell. Of course, it can also be cast on a single target. And you can freely control the duration and damage. It is also a soul-type skill. Together with Soul Curse and Soul Poison, it also forms the soul-type 3-star spell system. Like Soul Poison, it causes damage to the soul. Compared with Soul Poison, Soul Burning is more intense and direct. According to Lin Moyu's will, it can even burst out huge damage in an instant. But compared to Undead Gaze, it can control the size of the damage and is more flexible. After the formation of the 3-star spell system, the power of spells has been greatly improved. Looking at the stars and galaxies in the soul, I really have the illusion of becoming a starry sky in the universe. Compared with the empty skill space, the soul world is much more lively. Now there are only 4 skill star cores left in the skill space. They are passive skills, status immunity, summoning skills, summon skeleton dragon, resurrection, infinite fusion. Summoning the skeleton dragon, needless to say, as long as it is moved here, it will definitely be added to the summoning multi-star spell system to form a 7-star spell, which will greatly increase the power of the spell. Lin Moyu is most uncertain about the resurrection skill, which looks like a summoning type, but it doesn't seem to be a summoning type. Difficult to judge. Lin Moyu appreciates his own soul world. Antares is also admiring Lin Moyu's soul world. It is counting the number of stars, 18 magic stars, 3 multi-star magic systems. From its tone, Lin Moyu heard a hint of shock. The powerhouses of other races can have spell stars. Antares responded instinctively, it's hard to say how many there are. There are 4 or 5 less, and more than 10. Suddenly it seemed to realize something. Of course, these are just ordinary powerhouses. Those genius powerhouses are still very powerful, and there are quite a few with more than 20 magic stars. Lin Moyu said, I still have 4 skill star cores in my skill space, and there will be more than 20 when I move them over, and there is also a summoning skill among them, which can form a 7-star spell system. 7 stars. Antares murmured, it would be great if there were 9 stars. Lin Moyu asked, how many stars does Gao Neng have? Antares said in a deep voice, there are legends in the big world that the highest can reach 10 stars, but it has never been achieved. What about the 9-star one? Lin Moyu asked. Antares shook his head, I don't know, maybe there is, anyway, I don't know. Sometimes this thing depends on fate. If you don't have so many similar skills, it will be difficult to make up for it in the later stage. Lin Moyu asked if he didn't understand, can't you learn it? For example, Requiem. You can't learn it. What you learn the day after tomorrow can only be planetary level spells, and the highest degree of fusion can only reach 99%. Antares pointed to the magic planet representing Requiem, which has been mastered by Lin Moyu and transformed into a magic planet, but the fusion rate is only 20%. Lin Moyu also injected soul power at that time, but it didn't work. Lin Moyu suddenly realized that it was no wonder that the fusion of the gathering skill that was exchanged was only 1% after it became a magic planet. There is such a restriction. Lin Moyu thought about it for a while. Even if he transformed the summoned Skeleton King into spell stars and added it to the multi-star spell system of the summoning class, it was only an 8-star spell. It seems that it really depends on the talent. If you want to become a 9-star, it depends on your talent. Can't help being a little disappointed. Antares comforted. In fact, 8-star spells are already very strong, and they are rare. 9-star spells depend on fate and cannot be forced. Lin Moyu smiled. I know, I am very content. Ha! Antares suddenly let out a soft cry, and Lin Moyu followed its eyes and saw the soul-like 3-star magic system he had just formed. Soul burning, soul curse, soul poison. 3 blazing stars form a triangle and revolve around each other. But the way they rotate is a bit weird, not as stable as the previous skeletons and summons. They are fast and slow, and their trajectories are also big and small, and they look a little chaotic. Lin Moyu observed for a while. No matter how chaotic, they always revolve around a central point. This central point is exuding the breath of law. Antares stared wide-eyed. Time. The law of time. Has come true. There was suspicion in its voice, and even some fear. But more still can't believe it. The law of time is in the first echelon of all the laws in the big world, and it can at least rank in the top 3 powerful laws. Nothingness, ethereal, elusive, and incomprehensible are synonymous with the laws of the first echelon. Countless talented geniuses have all retreated in the face of such laws, and they retreated to the second echelon of laws. Antares finally came back to his senses, and then there was a strange cry. Impossible, how can the law of time be realized? There must be something wrong. There must be something wrong. What's wrong with this world? Is the big world crazy? Zero seeking flowers. The last time he fused his skills and played the law of time, Antares didn't have such a big reaction. This time it's just a manifestation of the law. Why is there such a big reaction? As the so-called ignorance is fearless, Lin Moyu does not have such a clear definition of the classification of laws, so he does not have much feeling. Lin Moyu looked at the crazy Antares. Are you okay? Antares exclaimed, I've decided. Decided? Decide what? Lin Moyu was taken aback by the state of Antares, not understanding what it was talking about. Antares said, I decided to live in your soul world for a long time, and I want to understand the law of time. Wait for Lao Tzu to understand the law of time, and kill the 4 when I go back, and see who can stop Lao Tzu. A large amount of soul power drilled in from Antares' body, and Antares' soul clone became stronger and stronger. The soul world was rumbling, and some couldn't bear it. Antares' soul is too strong, and Lin Moyu's soul world is not strong enough to contain it. Antares was not without measure. He controlled the strength of the avatar to the limit accepted by Lin Moyu, and then began to understand without saying a word. Lin Moyu couldn't laugh or cry. How could this guy look more casual than his master? This is his own soul world. He considers it his own home. But think about it, let him do whatever he wants, it won't affect him anyway. Your perception is your perception, and the situation of the human race should also be paid attention to. Lin Moyu said. Antares' voice sounded, it's not you who can do 2 things at once. In Lao Tzu's realm, not to mention 2 things at one time, it's fine to do 10 things at one time. I will pay attention to your little girlfriends and won't let anything happen to them. Those methods of the blood clan are not on the table at all, don't worry. Lin Moyu also believes that Meng Anwen and others can handle it, and start to understand the law again. Still choose to comprehend the law of immortality, and did not choose the law of time. He has self-knowledge and knows that his level is still low. The law of time is the law of the first echelon, and it is definitely not so easy to comprehend. And the law of immortality has already gained a lot of insights, so you can't give up halfway. The world of the human race, the capital of Eagle Country. A huge aura soared into the sky. There was a roar in the air, and the law of the entire Eagle Country permeated. Someone broke through to level 96. Countless thin red lines appeared in the human world, like traces of blood, flying towards the capital of the Eagle Kingdom. A person with long wings on his back and a 1/2 to 7-point similarity to the blood race appeared in midair, absorbing blood. A real feast of blood, Keishi. As the leader of the Eagle Kingdom, Silov is also the strongest in the Eagle Kingdom. A year ago, he was still at level 94, and he was not worth mentioning compared to the powerhouses in the Shengxia Empire. He is also a person of the same generation as Meng Anwen and others, and has dealt with each other. But Meng Anwen and Bai Yiyuan kept pressing him down. There is no way, the national power of the Shengxia Empire is too strong, there are too many strong people, no matter how much resentment he has, he can only swallow his anger. But now, he is entangled in laws all over his body, and he has stepped into level 96, becoming a high-level god. Countless bloodlines flew from all directions, interweaving into a huge bright red net in the air. The bloodline was absorbed by him, and his strength also increased sharply. His whole body was filled with blood, and his eyes were also replaced by bright red. The fangs in the mouth are gradually getting longer and sharper. Lines of blood appeared on the wings on the back, and the whole person became thinner accordingly. He has broken away from what a human being should look like, and has evolved towards a blood race. The Feast of Blood is not as simple as making the injured, 443, people mutate. Whether it's the first mutation or the second mutation, it's all for killing. 2 killings, resulting in a large number of casualties. The Shengxia Empire's counterattack started 2 days ago, no troops were dispatched, and all the god-level powerhouses of the Shenzhen Empire took action. In the fierce attack on the god-level powerhouse, all mutants have no power to resist. After research and discussion, the high-level officials of the Shengxia Empire discovered that these mutants no longer belonged to humans, and naturally they didn't need to keep their hands. This time, the Shengxia Empire launched a bloody method to clean up the whole world with the power of one country. Whoever offends my god Chia will be punished no matter how far away. The Shengxia Empire told the whole world in their own way that they are the masters of this world. Soon blood filled the whole world. The Feast of Blood is also really starting at this moment. The dead are dishes, and the living are eaters. A few people ate meat, and most of them could only drink soup. Silov's level has been raised again, reaching level 97. He is full. Besides him, there are many people who are devouring blood and evolving towards the blood race. Huge auras rose one by one and rushed straight into the sky. The former god level has been improved. There are a few who are close to the god level, and they are all stepping into the god level at this moment. For a time, the strength of these leaders has been greatly improved. The human world, Yuan battlefield, and even the dragon world, the abyss, the upper and lower spaces of the ancient battlefield. Under the land on all sides, the blood that has accumulated for many years is beginning to recover at this moment. This is the method of the blood race. They feed on blood and create all kinds of weird methods. To revive the former blood and use the blood to enhance one's own strength, only the vampires can do it. Thousands of years ago, the blood race used its own blood, the blood of the Shengxia human race, and mixed some flesh and blood from unknown sources to create another human race. A human race completely different from the Shengxia Empire. Thousands of years later, this move was launched, and the blood of the blood race broke out. These non-Shengxia people instantly became the slaves of the blood race and their killing tools. The blood race didn't want to invade the territory of this world, and their methods were even more cruel. Kill all the Shengxia people, and this world will belong to them. Even in the big world, the blood race is a relatively cruel race. Taking the blood of this slaughter as a guide, the blood that had been buried on the ground for an unknown number of years was activated, and countless people evolved towards the direction of the blood clan, and their power was greatly improved. Gradually, the entire Eagle country was shrouded in red light. An invisible force descended across time and space, and a face belonging to the blood clan emerged in the air. This face was full of killing intent, and kept roaring, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The killing intent quickly covered Eagle country, and then spread to the whole world. The whole world is gradually being swallowed by blood, and those who have become servants of the blood clan are even more crazy at this moment. The changes in the human world fell into the eyes of Antares, with disdain in his eyes. It will only use such inferior means, and the blood race is only worthy of being an inferior race. Even if you don't know your own enemy, you dare to intervene. It's fine if you fail, but if you succeed, you'll be wiped out. For this world, Antares knows far more information than imagined. The blood race obviously didn't know. The spread of blood light is getting faster and faster, and it has covered most of the world in just half a day. Meng Anwen and others also saw the blood, and felt bad in their hearts. The other party became even crazier. Their strength is increasing, and the speed of improvement is very fast. Blood light affects the mind. The Great Wall of Eternity seems to be able to resist the attack of blood light. A piece of information came together quickly. Bloody light will make people crazy, but the eternal Great Wall can resist bloody light. As long as the mind is firm enough, it will not be affected under the protection of the eternal Great Wall. A few people with weak minds will lose their minds. Chaos happened everywhere in the Shengxia Empire. Fortunately, there were not many such people, and the impact was not great. Meng Anwen felt the blood, and to him, this kind of influence was negligible. The slight restlessness in his heart was erased in an instant. Under the light of blood, he felt very uncomfortable. This discomfort is gradually accumulating. Meng Anwen knew that this matter could not be delayed any longer and it needed to be resolved as soon as possible. Otherwise, even with the protection of the eternal Great Wall, ordinary people in Shengxia would not be able to last long. It's going to be a real mess. Meng Anwen's soul force was rolling, sensing the blood light, and found the source. Chen Xiata appeared and instantly formed a teleportation array. Ning Tairen, Yi Hao, Dongfang Yi and others came through the teleportation array. Meng Anwen said, "The source is in the capital of Eagle Country, let's go there." Mother, he already guessed that it was the ghosts of these guys. Kill it. The capital of the Eagle Country, the blood here is the most intense, and it is the source of the world's blood. A teleportation array appeared in the air, and the space-time channel opened, and Meng Anwen and others teleported here. As soon as they came here, they heard Silov's wild laughter. "You are finally here, much slower than I thought. Meng Anwen, how do you feel about the light of our blood clan?" Bloodlines. It turned out to be blood. Meng Anwen knew a lot of information, and immediately thought of the root cause. His eyes were cold. "You have become slaves of the blood clan." Silov laughed loudly, and behind him, the Japanese god-level powerhouse also laughed. "We are not slaves, we are just the most loyal servants of the blood ancestor. The great blood ancestor is about to come, this world will become the blood ancestor's property, and you will become the blood ancestor's food." Silov seems to be clear, but has actually been affected. His eyes were full of madness, and he was only one step away from turning into a beast. Meng Anwen knew that it would be useless to say more about this kind of person, and the best way was to kill him. As long as he is killed, and all the alienated people are killed, the world can be restored. At this moment, he chose the most simple method, which is also Bai Yiyuan's favorite method. Meng 4.0 Anwen whispered, "Kill them." With a pointed finger, the god Xiata immediately intertwined a huge killing formation, and the formations formed swords, rushing away with the law. Ning Tairen also held his staff high, the law of flames converged and rained fire, burning the heavens and the earth. Yi Hao snorted coldly, and a huge spear appeared in his hand, and instantly killed Xihaofu. Faced with the strong attack of the three, a blood curtain appeared in front of Silov, and the blood curtain protected himself like an armor with laws. Silov laughed loudly and made a non-human voice, "It's useless, you are only level 96, and I'm already level 97. Using your Shengxia's words, the difference of one level is the difference between heaven and earth, and you have no chance. I know, your Emperor Dai is no longer here. Lin Moyu is not here either. Under the blood curtain, the teleportation to the human world has been cut off. Even if Lin Moyu wants to come back, it is impossible. When we kill you, we will slaughter Shengxia and greet the master with a blood sacrifice." Silov began to fight back, and the bloody law roared in the air. Meng Anwen's expression changed slightly. Silov was indeed at level 97, and he was better than him purely in terms of strength. But the actual combat strength does not simply depend on the level, there are many other factors. Meng Anwen controlled the god Shata, and interweaved a large number of formations to start a counterattack with Xihaofu. Ning Tairen, Yi Hao, and a group of god-level powerhouses from the Shengxia Empire were not idle, and immediately started a battle with the rest. The world was almost destroyed, and the entire capital of the Eagle Kingdom was smashed to pieces in an instant. Countless people in the capital died in the aftermath of the war. Their flesh and blood turned into mud, staining the earth red. But none of them were terrified, instead they had madness on their faces. They have no fear of death. These people have become part of the blood clan and are controlled by the blood clan. They have lost the attributes that humans should have. Ning Tairen said coldly, "Those who are not of my race must have a different heart. The ancestors sincerely do not deceive me. These guys are no longer human, kill them to your heart's content." It's not just that these guys are not human. Except for our Shengxia, everyone in the whole world has become slaves of the blood race. Leave no one behind, the world will be bright and clear. One by one, the killing intent was soaring, and the land of Yingguo fell into a catastrophe, with landslides and ground cracked. 02. God-level powerhouses fight recklessly, and even the world can be destroyed. Since this period of time, the number of dead creatures has exceeded hundreds of millions. In today's battle, there are tens of millions again. These flesh and blood were absorbed by the blood curtain in the sky, and fed back to the celestial beings on the West Road. Seehoff's strength improved again, he swayed the law, and laughed wildly. Meng Anwen, you are not my opponent, I can finally step on you. Having been suppressed by Meng Anwen and others all his life, Silov's heart was full of resentment, which finally broke out at this moment. Meng Anwen remained silent, he was looking for Silov's weakness. Silov seems to be powerful, driving the Scarlet Law. But Meng Anwen felt that Silov's understanding of the law was not deep, and the power he could exert was extremely limited. Obviously already at level 97, his real combat power is not much higher than his own. With confidence in his mind, Meng Anwen struck out countless runes with both hands, and the roar of Shen Siata became louder, and his power was more majestic than before. Meng Anwen turned from defense to offense and began to press down on Silov. In the ancient battlefield, Antares watched with relish. This guy's understanding of Tao is not bad. I seem to have underestimated him a little before, but he seems to be quite smart, and there may be a chance to leave this world in the future. But compared to the brat, it's far worse. Lin Moyu is comprehending the law at the moment, and has not paid attention to what happened in the human race. Antares would call him if something happened. If you don't call him, it means nothing. With Antares here, he doesn't have to worry. The battle lasted for half a day, and Meng Anwen had fully grasped Silov's strength, and gradually gained the upper hand. In the rest of the battlefield, there are Ning Tyron and Yi Hao, two 96-level high-level gods, and Silov's group is retreating steadily. Several gods have already been beheaded by them. The scope of the battlefield is getting bigger and bigger, and the Eagle country has been completely defeated. Cities were turned into ruins, the earth was cracked, and mountains and rivers were overturned. The more Silov fought, the more he couldn't believe it. He roared again and again, impossible, impossible, I'm already level 97, you're only level 96, there's no way I will lose to you. Meng Anwen didn't speak, he attacked with all his strength, not giving Silov any chance. Although he had the upper hand and suppressed Silov, it would not be possible to kill him in a short while. And Silov wanted to escape, but Meng Anwen knew he couldn't stop him. We have to find a way, we can't let him escape. Meng Anwen thought of Lin Moyu, if Xiaoyu is here, there will be absolutely no problem. Unknowingly, Lin Moyu has grown to the point where even he needs to look up to. Even the Dragon King can confront head-on, and the high-ranking Dragon King can easily kill in seconds. It can be said that there is no difficulty in dealing with a Silov. Silov became more and more crazy, and the Scarlet Law almost exploded. But no matter how crazy he is, it's useless, the result is just like that. Gradually, Silov began to withdraw. Meng Anwen, I will kill you when I reach level 98. Meng Anwen was startled. Oops, he's going to run away. He hasn't thought of a way to deal with Silov yet. Suddenly, a sharp black light came from far away, instantly. The black light crashed into Silov like lightning. Silov flew upside down for 1,000 meters with a scream, and the Scarlet Law collapsed. A huge wound ran from his chest to his waist, and Silov's whole body was almost cut off by the black light. Blood was pouring down like rain, and there was a smear of black in his blood, with a strong fishy smell, and the stench was unpleasant. Yan Quangsheng flew from afar with a big knife in his hand, and once again slashed at Sihaofu from afar. Another black orn flew out, and Silov gave a strange cry, and defended with all his strength using the Scarlet Law. Attacking the Soul Lock, it is impossible to escape. The black light collided with the Scarlet Law, and with a bang, the Scarlet Law collapsed again. The remaining sword glow penetrated Silov's body again. One arm was cut off directly, and collapsed into flesh in the air. Silov shouted, impossible, how could you be so strong? Yan Quangsheng laughed loudly, whether I'm strong or not, it's your turn to care. Yan Quangsheng slashed at him with a knife, and Silov suddenly became extremely embarrassed. One cut off the body, one cut off the arm. If it wasn't for the fact that Serov was a high-level god, and his vitality was strong enough, he would have died long ago. Once Yan Quangsheng made a move, he would not stop until the enemy was dead, and his fighting style was not as steady as Meng Anwen's, with a hint of madness. That's how Crazy God, Crazy Yan got his nickname. Meng Anwen saw it in his eyes and observed a 3-second silence for Silov. Unexpectedly, Yan Guangsheng would suddenly kill him, and his combat power was obviously greatly improved compared to 703 a year ago. Slay 10 directions with a knife. Yan Guangsheng roared suddenly, and the law of murderous aura exploded, covering a radius of 1 kilometer. Silov was swallowed up by the murderous aura, screaming continuously, and after only a few seconds, there was no movement at all. Yan Guangsheng reached out and picked out a head from the murderous aura. It was the head of Silov. I'm late, Yan Guangsheng said. He seems to have missed a lot this time. Meng Anwen smiled. It's good to be here. The battle here is almost over. No one in Ziluo died, and the dragons had no leader, and the progress of the battle suddenly became faster. Just when Meng Anwen was about to breathe a sigh of relief, a giant face appeared in Zusha. Not human, with fangs. As soon as it appeared, Meng Anwen became vigilant. I didn't expect that even the blood slaves at level 97 were killed by you. You are very good, and you are qualified to become the blood slaves of this deity. When it was talking, it looked towards Meng Anwen and Yan Shaosheng. Servant, sister. Yan Guangsheng roared angrily, and waved a black murderous aura, blasting away the huge bloody face. The bloody giant face will be visible elsewhere in the next second. It's useless. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. After 5 seconds the deity will come in person, and you won't have another chance. Think about your sister. Yan Guangsheng responded to him with a murderous look. Becoming a slave of the blood clan, he is not so overwhelmed. As for Meng Anwen, it was even more impossible. If that's the case, then wait for your death. The blood-colored giant face let out a cold laugh, and the blood curtain began to violently churn.